Sleep and gut health are like an old married couple, duking it out day after day and night after night. This could quite possibly be the conversation going on between your sleep habits and your gut microbiome. It's your fault. No, it's not. It's your fault. Me? What did I do? You know good and well what you did. I do not. You always keep me up at night. Well, you fire me up. Now, everybody, just calm down and don't get inflamed. That's only going to make sleep and gut health take a turn for the worse. Let's turn on the lights and see what's going on. There's a lot of noise in healthcare and you are too busy for fads. I'm Dr. Vicki and this is Healthy Looks Great on You, a lifestyle medicine podcast, life-tested, doctor-approved. Sleep versus the gut microbiome. Who is to blame? Let me just start by saying there's plenty of blame to go around. Separating gut issues from sleep issues is like trying to untangle a delicate necklace chain that got left in the very bottom of your jewelry bag. Sleep affects gut health and gut health affects sleep. And I can't even begin to tell you which is the better half in this odd couple. We'll call them Mr. Gut and Mrs. Sleep and put their relationship under the microscope. And believe me when I tell you, they are in serious need of professional counseling. Mrs. Sleep tends to make matters worse when she's interrupted. I'm talking burning in your esophagus from gastroesophageal reflux disease and constipation and diarrhea from irritable bowel syndrome. When she doesn't get the Z's she needs, she refuses to cooperate and produce the hormone balance needed between leptin and ghrelin. This results in hunger and an unhealthy food craving for foods high in fat and sugar. The whole metabolic household is thrown off balance, and that increases the risk of belly fat and a grouchy GI tract, flaring up irritable bowel syndrome, as well as inflammatory bowel disease. When you don't take care of Mrs. Sleep, the composition of bacteria that live in your gut can get all out of sorts. And listen, she really gets worked up over a lack of sleep. Recently, I spoke at a conference and the hotel was buzzing with rowdy kids, running up and down the halls. I was feeling the effects of crossing a time zone, so I went to bed. I was startled from a deep sleep at 1:30 in the morning by the fire alarm. In my PJs, I poked my head out the door to see all the other hotel guests poking their heads out of the door like little birds in a martin house. We collectively agreed that we didn't smell smoke, so we shut the doors and laid back down. Do you know how hard it is to try and sleep with a loud alarm blaring? I'd say impossible. I looked out the window at the growing crowd in the parking lot and decided to slip on my clothes and venture down the stairs. On the way, we heard a sister tattling on her brother for pulling the darn thing. But it was too late. The fire trucks were on the way. And you don't have to be a doctor sleeping in a Holiday Inn Express to know that sleep interruptions affect mood, memory, and energy. More than a few people were pretty inflamed that naughty boys set the whole spiral in motion. And that, my friends, is exactly what sleep deprivation does to the body. Well, maybe not exactly, but it does paint a picture of the increase in things like cytokines, interleukin-6, C-reactive protein, and other inflammatory molecules that are markers for an elevated risk of heart disease, high blood pressure, stroke, some types of cancer, dementia, and type 2 diabetes. And yes, there are partners in crime such as smoking, obesity, and chronic stress, but don't think for 1 minute that Mrs. Sleep isn't a big old pot stirrer. Lack of sleep prevents the normal relaxation of blood vessels and therefore the normal drop in blood pressure, and that may trigger inflammation. And Mrs. Sleep can really get in your head when it comes to inadequate Z's. She gets all bent out of shape when she can't get her housework done upstairs in the brain. It's called the glymphatic system, and here's how it should work. The flow of cerebral spinal fluid should flush away proteins that damage the brain during the deepest phases of sleep. It's kind of like mopping. So if you don't get good quality sleep, the housekeeping process gets sloppy and leaves behind all kinds of dirt and grime like beta amyloid, which is implicated in reduced memory and makes the hippocampus more susceptible to long-term damage, which in turn increases the risk of Alzheimer's dementia. And all that stress, it increases cortisol levels. It's so inflaming. And my crazy travel adventures didn't end with a fire alarm waking us up at 1:30 in the morning. But like that prankster who poked holes in my sleep, junk food, stress, and lack of sleep may poke holes in the gut. Now, I've mentioned before that leaky gut isn't a formal term in the medical profession, but there is a lot of interest in the connection between how permeable the lining of the intestines are and things like brain fog, fatigue, headaches, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, and even acne and eczema. And maybe you've heard of the crazy cycle in marriage. You know, he says blah, 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 and she gets mad and says blah, 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 blah every single time. The button gets pushed and the argument plays on repeat. And it's kind of the same with Mrs. Sleep and Mr. Gut. Reflux wakes you up. Lack of sleep increases the rate of reflux. Irritable bowel syndrome is associated with difficulty falling asleep and staying asleep, as well as too much sleepy during the day. Inflammatory bowel diseases like Crohn's and ulcerative colitis are often in bed with sleeplessness too. On the other hand, Mr. Gut is so controlling. He often retaliates with things like bloating and food sensitivities. He will wake you up like those rowdy kids in the halls. The gut microbiome can even be blamed for sleep apnea, which is the most common sleep disruptor and the most serious. See your doctor for this one, because with sleep apnea, you actually stop breathing while you're sleeping, which spins the crazy cycle and increases the risk of reflux, irritable bowel syndrome, and GI everything. Mr. Gut contributes to insomnia any way he can. All those bacteria living in the gut microbiome play a role in controlling the circadian rhythm or the sleep-wake cycle. Geez, all this spinning is making me sick to my stomach. But when Mr. Gut is happy, he's a productive guy, making neurotransmitters and hormones like GABA and serotonin, which is the precursor to the sleep hormone melatonin. Those gut bacteria work so hard, contributing to the manufacture of short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, which can also affect sleep. So what is the actual connection between the gut microbiome and sleep? We've already spent a minute in mini medical school learning about pro-inflammatory molecules that get lobbed around in our gut when we don't sleep enough. But how about we meet the microbes version 2.0? I introduced you to the good, bad, and ugly bacteria that take up residence alongside trillions of other bacteria, viruses, and forms of yeast in your intestine. I'll put a link to that episode in the show notes in case you missed it, or you can look on my website. Today, you're only going to get a brief introduction to the microbiology in your gut that is specific to sleep. And wait a minute, don't doze off in class. We're only going to say hello to a few of them. The nice neighbors are Lachnospiraceae and Odoribacter. These bugs in your belly are linked with longer sleep, but Selenomonadales and negativa cutis are on the neighborhood watch list because they hang out with insomnia, and I can't think of a more appropriate name for a bad actor than negativa cutis, and I don't even have to nickname that one. And what in the world is that noise? Oh, that's snoring. Must be Ruminococcus torcus, because if Xenogalla macilius were dominating the bacteria, the risk of all that racket would go down. So should you treat the gut microbiome or focus on better sleep? In any healthy marriage, both partners need to make a solid effort. Mr. Gut is happy when he has the tools he needs, like prebiotics and probiotics, as we learned in that episode, which I'll also link in the show notes. And when he's healthy and happy, the gut microbiome can improve both duration and quality of sleep. So if you want to sleep better, maybe Start eating better. And if you don't, Mrs. Sleep will throw a fit and destroy the house and send you to the pantry for something that makes it worse. You know, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. Today I'm going to give you 3 diet changes to help you sleep better. Just 3. Number 1 is foods that contain tryptophan. Tryptophan is an amino acid that is a precursor to serotonin, the happy hormone, which is the mother of melatonin, the sleep hormone, and therefore it's a huge player in the chemistry of sleep. You've probably heard that turkey contains tryptophan, and that's why everyone falls asleep in the recliner on Thanksgiving. But that's more likely from stuffing your belly and settling in for some football, because tryptophan does not make you drift off to sleep right away. Instead, foods that contain tryptophan help improve your sleep health over the long run because it nourishes a healthy gut microbiome, and that takes time. Dr. St. Orange has a cookbook called Eat Better and Sleep Better, and it encourages eating almonds, barley, brown rice, chia seeds, lentils, oats, pumpkin seeds, tofu, walnuts, and white beans because they're all high in tryptophan. I've got a few recipes of my own that I share in my newsletter. And if you aren't hanging out with me in your inbox, go to my website as soon as you finish listening to this podcast. That's www.healthylooksgreatonyou.com and sign up today. You will not want to miss these recipes. And while you're there, you might want to check out my No Plan, No Problem Pantry Guide to help you prepare a healthy meal for your family when you just really don't even have time to think about it. There's 10 items you can keep in the pantry and 10 items you keep in the freezer, and I'll give you some recipes on how to use them. I also have a new sleep cheat sheet. It's 3 simple strategies to help you sleep smarter tonight. And they're both free, so check it out. Now, number 2 on your changes to your diet is something you already know if you're a regular listener. Fiber is the secret to staying on a diet, and it's the key to a healthy gut microbiome. And therefore, it's super important in a synchronized sleep-wake cycle. And where, oh where, do we find fiber? I hope you said in plants. Fruits, vegetables, and whole grains contain fiber. Eating a variety of colors of fruits and vegetables provides all the micronutrients your body needs for good sleep. Things like magnesium, vitamin B6, and folate, which is vitamin B9. Now, vitamin B12 is not as important in sleep, but you do need it for your body to function properly. And if you're eating a plant-based diet, you need to be taking a supplement. And I always like to start with things you can add to your diet rather than trying to take away things, because changing habits is hard. And I do have a resource for you if you'd like to get a kickstart on changing your healthy habits. You can also find that on my website. It's a small investment of $47, but it will help you make changes in your lifestyle that last for a lifetime. Like number 3, reducing or eliminating refined carbohydrates and sugar, which is generally speaking associated with better sleep and a healthier gut microbiome. Marital bliss without all that sugar creating inflammation. The only way to get Mrs. Sleep and Mr. Gut to agree is to find things that make both of them happy. So instead of ice cream laden with sugar and fat, make nice cream. Frozen bananas and cherries with a little almond butter and cocoa. It's yummy and they both like it. And of course we all know that caffeine can keep you awake and alcohol may help you go to sleep, but it prevents you from getting into those deep restorative phases of sleep where Mrs. Sleep does all that good housekeeping upstairs that keeps your body and brain healthy. And healthy? Well, it looks great on you.
The information contained in this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not considered to be a substitute for medical advice. You should continue to follow up with your physician or healthcare provider and take medication as prescribed. Though the information in this podcast is evidence-based, new research may develop and recommendations may change.